If you want a thing done well, do it yourself. This simple, powerful statement is echoed through time because it touches on a core truth. The most dependable force in your life is you. No one will ever care about your dream, your work, or your vision more than you do. Waiting for others to act, to lead, or to perfect something on your behalf often leads to disappointment. When you take responsibility into your own hands, the game changes. You shift from being at the mercy of circumstance to becoming creator of results. This mindset is not just practical, it's empowering. Napoleon Hill built much of his philosophy on this foundation. His principle of self-reliance speaks directly to this truth. Success begins when you stop looking outward and start trusting your own ability to think, decide, and act. No one is coming to save you, and that's not a message of despair. It's a message of power. It means you don't have to wait. You already have what it takes to begin. And once you begin, momentum will take over. He'll also emphasize personal initiative, the willingness to move without being pushed. Those who take initiative don't wait for conditions to be perfect. They don't wait for applause or guarantees. They act because they believe in the value of progress. They understand that responsibility isn't a burden. It's a privilege. When you do something yourself, you build more than a result. You build strength, skill, and self-respect. That's where real confidence comes from. That's where success begins. One of the most common mistakes people make is waiting. Waiting for someone to help, waiting for the right moment, waiting for a sign, or for someone to give them permission. This kind of waiting becomes a habit that slowly eats away at potential. The harsh truth is, most of the time, no one is coming. Not because people don't care, but because they're busy fighting their own battles. If you want something done, especially something that matters deeply to you, you have to take the first step. You have to move without being asked, because the longer you wait, the colder the dream becomes. Napoleon Hill was relentless in his stance on decision. He believed indecision and procrastination were twin killers of success. In Think and Grow Rich, he wrote that successful people make decisions quickly and change them slowly, if at all. Why? Because waiting drains energy, weakens will, and opens the door to doubt. Every time you hesitate, you give fear a chance to speak. You give excuses room to grow. You start believing a lie that conditions need to be perfect before you act. But nothing good comes from the comfort zone of waiting. Dreams don't come alive in stillness. They come alive in motion. You don't have to know every step, just the first one. When you take that step, the next becomes clearer. That's how momentum is born. That's how action becomes a force that breaks through fear and brings ideas into the world. People who wait often find that their window of opportunity closes while they were standing still. But those who act, who choose decisively and move boldly, create their own timing. They shape their own reality. Hill taught us that success doesn't favor the talented. It favors the determined. And determination starts with a decision to stop waiting and start moving. In Napoleon Hill's words, initiative is a spark that lights the fire of achievement. It's the ability to take action without being told, to see a need and step forward before anyone else does. Hill didn't just describe initiative as a trait of successful people. He saw it as a law of success itself. Nothing happens until someone takes the first step, and the person who is willing to move first, to begin alone, often ends up leading the way for others. Initiative means you don't wait for permission. You don't wait to be hired, praised, or pushed. You see what must be done, and you begin. History is filled with people who moved before the world was ready. Think of Henry Ford, who dreamed of making cars affordable for the average family, when people still trusted horses more than machines. Or Thomas Edison, who locked himself in a lab and failed thousands of times just to invent a light bulb no one had asked him to build. These men didn't need an audience. They needed a goal, and they moved with it. Alone at first, maybe doubted or laughed at, but they moved. That's the essence of initiative. Hill also taught the principle of doing more than you are paid for. He believed that those who go the extra mile position themselves for leadership and unexpected opportunity. It's not just about impressing others. It's about building a habit of excellence. When you take initiative and go beyond what's required, you stand out. You become irreplaceable. More importantly, you build inner power and self-respect. You prove to yourself that you are capable of more. Taking initiative is a decision to live above average. It's the willingness to begin, to serve, and to lead, even when no one is watching. That's where greatness starts, with a single act of self-starting belief. There's something powerful that happens when you take full ownership of a task or a goal. When it's your hands doing the work, your mind solving the problems, and your name on the line, you pay closer attention. You care more. You improve faster. That's because doing something yourself forces you to engage fully. It's not passive anymore. It becomes personal. And that's often the path to mastery. Mastery doesn't come from watching others or giving instructions from the sidelines. It comes from getting in the game, making mistakes, correcting them, and building confidence through repetition. Napoleon Hill emphasized the power of accurate thinking, which means seeing things as they are, not as we wish them to be. When you do the work yourself, you gain clarity. You know exactly what's working and what isn't. You can't hide behind blame or confusion because you're in the middle of it. And from that clarity, you grow wiser and stronger. Hill also wrote about applied faith, the kind of belief that shows up through action. It's one thing to say you believe in your vision, and another to prove it by showing up and doing the hard work without guarantees. Doing it yourself is an act of applied faith. It says, I believe in this enough to build with my own two hands. Ownership creates something deeper than results. It creates pride, not the ego kind, but the kind that comes from knowing you gave your best, that you improved something through effort, that you didn't wait for someone else to make it happen. When you own the process, you learn more, you grow more, and you stand taller. You aren't just completing a task. You're building character. And in the long run, that's what sets achievers apart. It's not talent or luck. It's ownership. Self-trust isn't built by reading books or waiting for someone else to believe in you. It's built through action. Every time you do what you say you're going to do, every time you push forward when it would be easier to quit, you're proving something to yourself. That's where confidence comes from. Not from compliments, not from comfort, but from the quiet knowledge that you showed up for your own life. When you take action, even in small ways, it creates a loop of belief. You begin to trust your instincts, your strength, and your ability to figure things out. The more you do, the more you believe. And the more you believe, the more you're willing to do. Napoleon Hill believed that faith was not just a religious or spiritual idea. It was a mental state, a mindset that could be cultivated through repetition and intentional thinking. Faith, to Hill, was the foundation of all achievement, but it wasn't passive. It wasn't about sitting back and hoping. It was about moving forward, acting as if success was certain, even when evidence said otherwise. That's where persistence came in. Hill saw persistence as faith in action. It's what keeps you going when the results haven't arrived yet, when the world is silent, and when the doubts grow loud. Doubt is a natural enemy of faith. It sneaks in when things get hard or when progress is slow. But the way to silence doubt isn't with more thinking. It's with movement. Action quiets the noise. When you're busy doing the work, there's less space for fear. And even if the action is imperfect, even if you stumble, you're still building something inside that can't be faked. Resilience. That's the muscle that carries you through setbacks. Over time, this loop of belief becomes unshakable. You trust yourself not because you're flawless, but because you've seen yourself keep going. That's the essence of self-leadership. You become your own source of strength, your own source of motivation. You don't need a perfect plan. You just need the courage to begin. And once you begin, belief follows. Hill knew it. All great achievers live by it. Action creates belief, and belief builds a life. One of the greatest traps people fall into is the idea of someday. Someday when they have more time. Someday when the conditions are better. Someday when they feel ready. But that someday rarely comes. It becomes a comfortable excuse that slowly turns into regret. Napoleon Hill warned against this thinking with urgency. He taught that successful people are decisive. They make choices and move quickly. Indecision is a silent killer of dreams. Every day you wait is a day you could have built something real. The truth is, there will never be a perfect time. The right time is now. You don't need ideal resources or a perfect plan to start. What you need is the willingness to begin with what's in your hand. Hill believed that faith wasn't just belief. It was acting in the face of uncertainty. He knew that great success often starts with small, imperfect steps taken boldly. Think about how Walt Disney began with sketches and an idea no one believed in, or how Oprah Winfrey started as a local news anchor facing rejection and criticism. They didn't wait for guarantees. They acted, and because they acted, momentum followed. Starting now doesn't mean rushing blindly. It means refusing. Before you can lead others, you must be willing to do the work yourself. That's the only way to truly understand what's required. It's not just about getting things done. It's about knowing the details, the challenges, and the standards. Napoleon Hill believed that leaders must first be doers. Delegation is not a shortcut for laziness. It's a tool for scale. But it only works when the leader has first walked the path. You earn the right to delegate by first proving you're willing to act. That's where credibility comes from. Hill emphasized that leadership carries responsibility that cannot be handed off. A true leader knows that even when tasks are assigned, the outcome is still theirs to own. You don't delegate accountability. You share the work, but you stay fully engaged. Delegation done well empowers others and allows a vision to grow. But done carelessly, it becomes abdication and the whole structure weakens. Effective delegation starts with clarity. When you've done the job yourself, you can communicate expectations, anticipate challenges, and support your team with real understanding. You lead not from theory, but from experience. That's what earns trust. People don't follow titles. They follow those who've been in the trenches. Hill taught that a great leader knows when to act and when to empower, but never to hide. Delegation is a sign of strength when used wisely. But behind every great team, there's a leader who first proved they could carry the weight themselves, and still does when needed. At the heart of it all is a simple, powerful truth. If you want something done well, you must take action and own the outcome. Don't wait for the perfect moment, the right team, or someone else to make the move. Start now, with what you have, and trust yourself to figure out along the way. The leaders who leave a mark are the ones who lead from the front. Not with words alone, but with bold steps and unwavering belief. You don't need to have all the answers. You need the courage to begin and the discipline to keep going. As Napoleon Hill said, do not wait. The time will never be just right. Start where you stand and work with whatever tools you may have at your command. You are more ready than you think. Trust yourself. Take the first step. Lead with action and let results follow. If you found value in these insights inspired by Napoleon Hill, make sure to subscribe for more powerful lessons on mindset, wealth, and personal growth. We share timeless wisdom, practical strategies, and motivational content to help you unlock your full potential. Stay inspired. Stay focused. Master your mind.